What if Goku replaced Omni-Man in the Invincible universe? Many of y'all watching probably wouldn't know this, but I am a very, very big anime fan, and while Dragon Ball might not be my favorite anime of all time, we cannot lie about saying Goku in the Invincible universe wouldn't truly match so perfectly, specifically for a universe like this, and for the characters already in universe. We know how the Invincible universe works. Obviously, it's a lot darker and a lot more grittier than what we see normally in Dragon Ball, just in terms of the actual styles of anime. But when we break it down to its core, the similarities between them are honestly hilarious, and that's the main reason why I'm making this video. To set the stage for how I want this video to take place and how I want Goku to replace Omni-Man, I first want to specifically say that when I say Goku is replacing Omni-Man, I mean that as a general state of fact. Omni-Man no longer exists, and Goku is now the Omni-Man fill-in, and along with that, I'm switching all of the Viltrumites into Saiyans, just due to the fact that they basically take over the same kind of role that the Viltrumites served in the first place, since they are both conquering races that basically do the exact same thing, minus the fact that the Saiyans had to be under the servitude of Frieza, which obviously doesn't exist because I'm only bringing in Goku from the Dragon Ball universe and not any other characters like that. But with that specifically said, now we can actively get into how I think he would interact with the universe in general. And that is where things truly get very interesting. Because we know, in the original version of this series, Omni-Man is a Viltrumite, part of this galactic empire of hyper-violent conquerors who infiltrate planets and weaken them to claim them. And if you swap this into the Saiyan race from Dragon Ball, you've got a slightly different flavor of domination, but not all by much, because Saiyans do basically the exact same thing, and the main big difference between them is quite literally their lifespan and the fact that they don't usually have the exact same drive to just kill off their entire species, but we're going to still have it be the exact same kind of way. And the only reason that there's more Saiyans alive is because of the fact that this isn't a situation where 50 Viltrumites can only exist due to the fact of, they live long enough anyway, so it doesn't really matter. There might be a good couple more Saiyans, but still probably would do a genetic culling just so they could have only the biggest and the best and strongest still being alive, and kind of still having that kind of same thing happen for the Saiyans in general, just to kind of make them stronger in their own senses. But continuing on, we would obviously still have the Saiyans still having their empire, one a little less organized around infiltration and more about brute force and planetary conquest like they do in their own universe. And instead of Omni-Man laying low as Nolan Grayson, we have Goku, and let's just call him Kakarot for this version because there would be no Goku to be put in. And we would just have him be sent to Earth as a sleeper agent. And obviously, this isn't a situation where he's thousands of years old like Nolan. This is just probably like a younger Goku, let's say early like teens, like mid Dragon Ball Goku, like post time skip where he's in like 16 range, going down and being sent down to Earth. And this isn't a kind of situation where instead of him bonking his head and turning good, this Goku remains and still retains the Saiyan pride and loyalty to his people that he would have already had and he would have originally had if he did hit his head in the original Dragon Ball anime. Though he still would form emotional bonds with humans and still eventually create emotional ties with the people that he's going to be surrounded around. And he would end up being more sort of a conflicted warrior torn between his mission and the life that he has built with his Earth family. And when Mark, his half-human and half-Saiyan son, starts developing his powers, he would obviously have to realize the clock is ticking and the Empire will come. And he might be the person that has to choose between conquer or defend. And I guess I know I could easily just be around the saying, of, oh yeah, he didn't bonk his head, so he still has the Saiyan pride, so he's just going to conquer the planet and just get it over with. But you spend enough time actively on Earth, interacting with the humans, and actively just being this kind of person, I honestly see him still gaining some compassion for the Earthlings, specifically the same way that Nolan did in his own way, even though it took him a little while longer to kind of figure out that he truly respected them in that way. But we've seen characters like Vegeta, which is really obviously the only other full-blooded Saiyan that we see still actively find his way to Earth and eventually calm himself down and actually get to feeling like Earth is a home. And obviously, he had Goku to kind of help him around. But Goku being around all these other people and specifically these superpowered individuals could easily and potentially have a version of that on his own, right? Which would be extremely interesting to see because his relationships towards everybody else, in terms of how the people portray him towards how everybody else perceives him, would be so different from Omni-Man in general. Cecil didn't really want to work with him at all just because he didn't trust Omni-Man in general. But Goku would be different. Goku would be someone that Cecil could actually trust far more than he ever did Omni-Man. The Global Defense Agency would probably work with him rather than secretly plot behind his back because of the fact that he's a lot more trustworthy and he's a lot more cooperative comparatively to Omni-Man than anything else that they would have honestly ever expected. And this does really help out one Goku for the sheer fact of he has people that he can train with that are at least somewhat close to his level, because obviously normal Earthlings aren't going to be on his normal level. So he actually has people that he can fight with and gain that Zenkai boost and get the training that he actually desperately needs. And the best person for him would, hilariously enough, be somebody like Immortal, because of the fact that Goku can train to his fullest content and not have to worry about killing him because of the fact that he is immortal and he will be coming back no matter what. So he can at least go full out and eventually train himself more and more. And obviously there's a lot more other superpowered beings or aliens that he could fight if he needs to kind of gain that extra strength. So I still see him gaining fairly strong at some points in time, and maybe even possibly gaining a version of Super Saiyans depending on how the story ends up continuing on. But when it comes towards him training somebody like Mark, this is where things would actually truly get hilarious, just due to the fact that you implement somebody like Mark normally from the main universe. We know Viltrumite kids still have, the Viltrumite blood and Viltrumite entire gene just basically take complete control, and that kid is basically just really 100% Viltrumite at the end of the day. Like, the genes really start taking more dominance as the kid gets older. Saiyan DNA is built different to a truly different level of any kind of component that you could ever think about, strictly due to the fact of half Saiyans gain their powers a lot faster and are usually a lot stronger than their parent counterpart, which would mean Mark in this timeline, instead of gaining his abilities at the age of like 16, 17, 18, however old he is in the beginning of the series, he gains them probably around, like, let's say 4, 5, 6, around the same time Gohan started gaining his abilities, and this gives him a lot more time to train with these abilities. This gives him a lot more time to kind of get to grasp on how all of his powers work, and he's gonna learn them extremely fast just due to the fact of that's usually how half Saiyans learn anyways. They usually learn faster as they get like lore in terms of how much Saiyan DNA they have, because Gohan became one of the basically stronger than Goku by the time that he was 12, but he had a couple years training before then, and then Goten and all of those other ones quite literally just started gaining those abilities like as soon out of the get-go, which is something else in general. But this truly just shows the very big difference between how much Mark will be able to improve as time goes along. We could probably still get an Invincible kind of version of him, whether it's, the Great Saiyan Man or whatever you guys want to have it be. He still ends up becoming invincible at some point in time because Goku, obviously having abilities and being strong in general, would end up becoming a protector of Earth, leading Mark to become a protector of Earth also, just due to the fact of having, like, that kind of figure for trying to be that conqueror that he was originally supposed to come be anyway. So he would already have that persona like Omni-Man. And we could still call him Omni-Man just for the sheer fun of it, which it doesn't really cause a problem anyway, so why not? But it does obviously get a lot more interesting once we do bring all of the other Saiyans back into this kind of world, because of the fact of, well, not other Saiyans, but all the other Viltrumites into this kind of story as the Saiyans, because characters like Conquest, Thrag, and almost any of the other Viltrumites that we've seen in the show would be a very interesting dynamic around Goku. But before we get to them, I have to talk about the person that would be the biggest hilariousness for Goku to fight, and that is Battle Beast. Battle Beast versus Goku would be a fight one for honor and not blood, but it is going to be a fight for blood because we know how Battle Beast is, and Goku would love it. They are both fighting crash outs in the general term of the word. They long for nothing else besides a good fight, and if it leads to the death, oh well, specifically for Battle Beast's case, that's basically what he wants, but they live for nothing more than a good fight and a good opponent. So, when we talk about Battle Beast, like one of Invincible's most brutal characters who literally loves and lives for the thrill of war, doesn't care about morality and only the strength of the opponent, this fight would be literally just no holds barred, no holding back, no weights, no key games. This is literally just Goku in a universe that doesn't blink at gore. So this would be him getting charged with brute force, slamming through buildings like paper, and things just going left and right as the entire time goes along. This fight would honestly be extremely extraordinary just due to the fact that Battle Beast is not holding back, one, but two, Goku would actually have somebody who lives for the fight, probably more than he does, which he does not find almost ever at all, because nobody lives for a fight more than Goku, if we're being honest. And we would just see an explosive clash between these two. Battle Beast fights for conquest and just specifically for the fun of the game, and Goku is literally just fighting past his limits. And here, Goku would have to let go, no holding back. He probably wouldn't tap into Super Saiyan specifically here because he doesn't have that extreme. Yes, he has emotion, but it's not out of rage. It's not the same way that he gained emotion so much when he first gained Super Saiyan. But if we have him already have Super Saiyan, oh, this fight just goes on longer and longer and longer, Goku will win. Specifically if he has Super Saiyan 1, 2, or whatever, because I still see him possibly gaining that in this kind of universe, just due to the fact that there still are threats that could possibly lead him to get there. Whether it's like other Saiyans or just the sheer amount of aliens that exist in this world anyways, he'd probably have one person that's going to piss him off enough. But if we're going to choose somebody to piss him off enough to get him to go Super Saiyan, we're going to have it be another Viltrumite-esque Saiyan that he would be dealing with, and that would be Conquest, the man who literally struggles from success. Because a character even more twisted than Omni-Man and lives for violence and enjoys inflicting that pain, this wouldn't just be a fight, it would be psychological warfare for Goku's end. Conquest would see Goku's mercy as a weakness. He'd taunt him, push him, and try to break him. This would be where Goku gains that Super Saiyan for the sheer reason that Conquest and Battle Beast have one thing in common, and that is mentality. These two specifically are chaos fiends incarnate, and fighting is the number one thing that they want to do. Conquest loves the fight and loves for them to be able to throw hands. So I don't see a situation where this fight isn't just going to be truly hilarious in any kind of specific stance and truly awe-taking, just due to the fact that Conquest 1 is going to grab Mark at some point in time, and don't get me wrong, Mark can probably beat him at this point in time, specifically just due to the fact of Mark being Mark. But if it's any situation where Conquest grabs Debbie or somebody that Goku or Mark even care about remotely, to the point like it's the same extent that they care about them the same way that Goku cared about Krillin in the Frieza saga during the first, like during Dragon Ball Z. They both unlock Super Saiyan with a passion, and that is where things take a left so hard that it's not funny. Because if you get both of these two to go Super Saiyan, it's gonna truly one turn into a version of the story that you're not gonna recognize, because the way that Conquest and any other person that is related to the Viltrumite Saiyans in this world is going to be looking, they're first of all going to be confused because the legendary Super Saiyan has just shown up, and Conquest is going to be Conquest is going to be conquered so fast, so hard, and in a way that you would have never thought to believe, because Goku will wipe the floor with him. Mark will come in, take the seconds, and wipe the floor with him again, and just basically leave him in dust. Thrag will eventually, at this point, just not be an opponent, because yes, he's still going to be strong and still have all this extra strength just due to the fact that I'm not going to switch how powerful they are because of the fact that they're Saiyans now, because they would be a little different power, but I'm just going to scale them around the same level that they would normally be in terms of scaling everything around. But it would end up being a situation where if they are still in terms of like thinking about purity the same way that they wanted to and having the same way that they end up doing it, it would just one be a situation where if Goku has the first hybrid, it's game over. But even if he doesn't, let's just say hybrids are going to be the name of the game for this universe in general, just due to the fact that once anybody notices that hybrids are usually stronger, it might honestly just be Earth hybrids. Specifically, Goku's Earth hybrids are the only ones that kind of get this boost. Oh yeah, it's game. It's wraps, because their Viltrumites are going to be coming over to Earth at this point to breed and have kids with these Earthlings once they figure out the fact that, one, their kids end up being a lot stronger than they are. They're going to use that to their advantage, specifically Thrag, specifically Conquest is gone, but specifically any of the Viltrumites that are left standing after a war between these two father and son duo. They're going to come to Earth and try repopulating the Saiyan race via that method right there, to get the strongest kind of capabilities with the best kind of potential. And if we specifically still have it be where Mark and Goku as the replacement are still descended from the line of Argon or whatever his name is, them becoming like the rulers of the Viltrumite Saiyan race would be a very interesting kind of thing, because Goku has always not been the Prince of Saiyans, and now he would be basically the king while Mark is the prince, which would just be a very nice, nod to the DBZ universe in general, just for the irony that he would be the prince slash king in this world instead of his own, even though he is the strongest Saiyan in his own universe. Fight me if you want. You can't even say I'm wrong. I know some people somewhere are going to say Vegeta is at some point in time, but not really. But yeah, no matter what, this will be a very interesting kind of dynamic and dilemma if Goku did replace Omni-Man. Because you wouldn't just get a more powerful protector, you'd get something so much different. The change in DNA would cause so many things to specifically change and just go different ways, less people dying, or so many different things happening. Because one, specifically if we have him only switch in one universe, it mainly causes the difference between all of the other ones, and that's gonna be a real big situation of can a Saiyan Mark beat the rest of the normal, like, Invincible War variant marks, which I say yes. If you say no, tell me why in the comment section, because I need to hear your opinions and reasonings. But even if the only problem that we end up having is if you say all of the other marks from the Invincible War are also children of Goku instead, or specifically, let's just say, still Graysons that, like, children of Goku's children of Kakarot instead, that's where things get a lot more wicked in terms of how things take a turn because of the fact that they're not holding anything back ever, specifically Sinister, Mark, or anything else like that. So things will get a lot more different, but that's for you guys to kind of think about. What do you think would happen if Goku replaced Omni-Man? Would things just go in the best way possible or the worst way possible? If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for more videos like this. I know this video wasn't as long as I wanted to be, but I do not have time currently. I gotta go work later tonight, and I accidentally put off recording this until the last minute. My bad. But I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys did enjoy, and peace.